All right, a bold prediction for the midterms. Democratic Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi telling the Boston Globe, quote, "We will win. I will run for Speaker. I feel confident about it, and my members do too." This as some Democrat leaders are calling for her to step aside. Here now is Anneke Green, former George W. Bush speechwriter, and Joel Payne, former Hillary Clinton campaign advisor. Joel, let me start with you because Republicans love this kind of talk. They feel like it helps them so much. Would you like to see Nancy Pelosi do more of this chatting? Do you feel like it's helpful? Do you feel like it hurts the party?
I'm very confident with the leadership that Nancy Pelosi has provided in Congress. If you look at her speakership, you look at what she's done to lead the party in the minority, she's been incredibly effective, both as a fundraiser and also as a legislator. She's helped pass some of the most landmark bills, not just for progressives, but for all Americans, and she's raised millions and millions of dollars for Democrats around the country. So Nancy Pelosi probably has the leverage here to do whatever she wants, and I think her caucus will probably follow her, and I think that's not a bad thing for Democrats or for the rest of the country. Yeah.
Anneke, do you think that that is music to Republicans' ears?
Well, look, Nancy Pelosi presided over losing the House in 2014, which was projected to stay Democrat. And I think her great weakness is the fact that she can raise money for the Democrats, but that is also a strength for them. So ultimately, they need to not stick with somebody who has presided over such loss and who is really getting up there. She's not projecting the face that Democrats would like to present to the electorate.
Joel, I mean, she has a lot of strength in raising money, and she's obviously really good at whipping Democrats into shape and into, all moving in the same direction. The challenge, it seems, is that she has a lot of the same faults as Hillary Clinton, with the crumbs comment, with being very wealthy and seemingly out of touch with working people, and with, seeming like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a centrist versus a bunch of the Democrat Party that has a lot of enthusiasm, like Bernie Sanders. Do you think that that's a challenge for Democrats?
Well, I think it's an interesting double standard here. Nancy Pelosi has been very effective for a very long time. I really don't recall hearing too many people, other than his own party, really going after John Boehner or Paul Ryan because they've been around too long. Usually that was because they lost political support. Nancy Pelosi hasn't lost political support. By the way, she saw this coming. She's headed this off. She's actually diversified and made her leadership team a lot younger and a lot more millennial friendly and a lot more ready to appeal to a new generation of voters. So I think Nancy Pelosi has been very smart about how she's approached this.
She does have a lot in her own party, though. I mean, you talk about a double standard, but Anneke, there are a lot in her party that don't want to campaign with her and don't want her there because she does represent the old guard and being out of touch and just things. I mean, that's from Democrats that want her money, but don't necessarily want her standing next to them, and maybe fear that if you elect Democrats, she's going to be Speaker of the House. That may not be a winning message for Democrats.
Right. I don't think it is. And it's telling to me that people are afraid to challenge her leadership. She's out there saying that she's the one who's going to keep the party diverse. And she actually said in that interview that otherwise it's just 5 white guys at a table. But as an older white woman, she's not actually bringing that diversity that I think Democrats would like to present themselves as a party of being. And ultimately, they're afraid to challenge her because she does bring in so much money. And how is that a winning path?
Joel, is there anyone else that you think would be great also? Maybe if you're still a big fan of hers, but who do you think is the person that would be the next great person on the Democrat side if she were to decide for some reason she didn't want to be Speaker?
Well, this is the point I was making earlier. She's actually been very smart about building a bench. There are people like Joe Crowley, who's actually been a very strong lieutenant for a long time, who's been positioning himself to do this. Look, there are older gentlemen like Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn, who I'm not sure quite have the designs on the office. There are younger folks who are coming up like Eric Swalwell. There are people like my former boss, Barbara Lee, others in the Congressional Black Caucus. The good thing about the Democratic Party is there's a big tent and there's a strong bench of people who could step in if Nancy Pelosi couldn't. But I think that she's got support lockstep behind her.